do please roll the tape. Okay, I'd like to call to order the City of Sumner Council meeting. The date is the 1st of February already, and the time is 6:01 p.m. As a reminder to everyone that council members and staff are attending this meeting virtually, as City Hall, still remains closed during the Governor Inslee's Healthy Washington Recovery Roadmap order, the consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the meeting is open to the public via the Zoom link and the call-in information that's been posted on our website and on the City Council agenda. With that, if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you, at least for somebody joining in with me. I appreciate that in case I screw it up. And we'll move on to the invocation. Father Jerry, welcome this evening. Thank you for being here.
Welcome. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, we are thankful for our families, for our health, for our situation in life. We ask that you continue to protect our community, our state, nation, and world from the ravages of the coronavirus. And you aid us as we attempt to inoculate give our children, give them a sense of purpose, help them with their studies, help all of us with patience so that we might soon be free of this great difficulty and return to some sort of normalcy. And we ask for your special protection over the city of Sumner and bless the work of this great council. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you very much, Father. Appreciate you giving our blessing tonight. And you're welcome to stay. It's a question of judgment here as to whether you do so or whether you can go off to do other things. But thank you again.
I'll just have Barb take notes for me.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, bye-bye now.
Okay, bye, Father. Okay, with that, Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Potato?
Here.
Brown?
Here.
Hayden?
Yes, ma'am.
Hochstetter?
Here.
Newman?
Here.
Reed?
Councilmember Reed did get a hold of me, and he's not doing well tonight, so he'll not be joining us. So I would like to entertain a motion to excuse Councilmember Reed from tonight's meeting.
I move we excuse Councilmember Reed from tonight's meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to excuse Councilmember Reed from tonight's meeting. All those in favor of excusing from the meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hey.
Hey, here from Canada.
Okay, all those opposed, please say nay. Okay, Councilmember Reed is excused from tonight's meeting. Now we have something that doesn't happen all that often, except for, every other year. We are blessed with being able to give the oath of office tonight to, I was going to say Josh Hamilton, but the agenda says Joshua Hamilton, and it's a special time. This is an odd way to do it, Josh. The last time I was blessed with doing it, it was during a regular council meeting, and we were able to have family there and stuff. So you're going to have to deal with the circumstances just like you have on everything else that everybody's going through, and we'll give you the oath virtually here.
That's okay. My family's been teasing me all week about it already.
I bet they have. Okay, sir. So if you're ready, I'm ready.
Hey, you just want me to go then?
No, I'll say it, and then you repeat it.
Okay.
And if I screw it up, say it correctly afterwards.
All right.
Okay. I, Joshua Hamilton, do solemnly swear
I, Joshua Hamilton, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
and all local ordinances,
and all local ordinances,
that I will, to the best of my ability,
that I will, to the best of my ability,
diligently and impartially perform the duties of the office of council member
diligently and impartially perform the duties of the office of council member
for the city of Sumner,
for the city of Sumner,
in and for Pierce County, Washington,
in and for Pierce County, Washington,
as such duties are prescribed by law.
as such duties are prescribed by law.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Well, congratulations, sir. You are now council member Hamilton. We'll give you all an applause here.
Thank you. I'm excited about it.
Well, we're very, very happy, to have you on the council. You bring a wealth of background and experience, to the position, which will help all of us. And so, thank you again. And when we loop back to you in a month or two, hopefully you'll still have that same smile on your face, after you get into it and say, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? So anyway, thank you. And hopefully when we get to, I don't know when those normal times will be, we can do something more celebratory, for you and for your family.
Thank you.
Anyway, so, okay, with that on, we will go to the rest of the agenda. And we'll have the consent agenda. And go ahead, Michelle, if you would read the consent agenda first.
Item number 1, approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting of January 4th, 2021, January 11th, 2021 study session, the 19th, 2021 special study session, and January 25th, 2021 special council meeting. Item 2, Stewart Road final design consultant supplement. Item 3, approval of the checks and electronic payments in the amount of $5,443,386.26.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Would any council member wish to have any items removed off the consent agenda for separate consideration? Councilmember Brown.
Yeah, I would like to remove number 1.
Okay, any other items that would like to be, council members like to be removed from the consent agenda? Okay, saying, could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda, including items number 2 and 3?
I move we adopt the consent agenda items 2 and 3.
Could I get a second?
Yes, I'll second that, Mayor Pugh.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you, Councilmember Hochstetter, for the motion and a second. Yeah, before you, the consent agenda for items number 2 and 3. All those in favor of adopting the consent agenda items number 2 and 3, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Okay. Items number 2 and 3 on the consent agenda adopted. Now we're back to item number 1. Could I get a motion to consider item number 1 by Councilmember Brown?
Yeah, I move to pass consent agenda number 1.
Okay, could I get a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded by Councilmembers Brown and Councilmembers Hochstetter to approve item number 1. Councilmember Brown.
Yeah, I don't like to do this, but I see a mistake. When we voted last week on page 11, I don't see that Potato voted, but I know she did.
I believe that that was, brought to Michelle's attention, and I think those were the draft minutes. And Michelle, I believe you've made the correction to the minutes, official minutes that the council would be voting on to show that we have Councilmember Potato voting?
Yes, Mayor Pugh, I do apologize. I did leave off Councilmember Potato. It was brought to my attention. It was a Scribner error, and I have fixed that in the minutes, and it will go forth as with showing Potato's vote.
Crap, I'm sorry.
No, nothing to be
Doing
sorry
that.
about. It was shown on your agenda, on the draft agenda, as not having her voted. So you're very correct in drawing attention to it, Councilmember Brown. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, any other questions regarding item number 1? Now that we have that one straightened out? Okay, that being the case, all those in favor of adopting item number 1 on the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it, and item number 1 on the consent agenda is adopted. Then we move on to public hearings. There are no public hearings tonight. Move on to regular business. And first item under regular business is unfinished business, of which there is none. So then we move on to public comments, and I will pull up the attendees. Okay, I guess I would ask, there are some people that have called in or have gone in through our Zoom link. So I would ask if there's anybody out there that would like to address the council on any item that is not on the agenda. And if you're dialed in through your Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature. If you did by phone, please press *9. Okay, I think the people that have all signed in over there are part of Mr. Metcalf's staff. So seeing none, then Michelle, we're spared reading the rules for public comment, and we will close public comment, and we will move on to new business. And the first item under new business is resolution number 1574. And Councilmember Reed would normally be making the motion. So instead, I'm going to put you on the spot, Deputy Mayor. I'm going to ask you to do that.
I move we adopt resolution number 1574, refuse rate increase.
Okay,
I'll second it.
it's been moved and seconded, moved by the Deputy Mayor and seconded by Councilmember Potato to adopt resolution number 1574. And I would call on Administrative Services Director Jeff Steffens. Mr. Steffens.
Good evening. The City of Sumner's contract with Murray's Disposal calls for an annual rate increase. This increase is based on 80% of CPI, as well as changes in the landfill tipping fees. This year, Murray's is also requesting an increase based off of a change in state B&O tax that took into effect in April of last year, just after we passed the 2020 rates. All told, this increase will equal roughly 76 cents to our most popular residential service of a 1 can with yard waste, 76 cents a month. The rates would go into effect if passed tonight on March 1st, and the public has been given a 45-day notice of these rates as required by law. And joining me tonight is Josh Metcalf from Murray's to help answer any technical questions that you may or may not have.
Okay, before I call on the council, Mr. Metcalf, do you have anything to add to Mr. Steffens' report to the council?
Nothing to add, Mayor. I think Jeff covered it well. It's 3 components to our rate increase this year.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Metcalf. Okay, council members, any questions or comments on the item before you? Any questions or comments on the item before you? Okay, is any member of the public that would like to address the council on this issue? As a reminder, please use the raised your hand feature if you're coming in via the Zoom link, or the *9 if you're calling in. Okay, Council members? Nothing? Okay, last chance. Okay. Go ahead, Michelle, please call the roll.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 1574 is adopted unanimously. Congratulations, Councilmember Hamilton. Yeah, the first normal, regular, new business item. Okay, we'll go on to ordinance number 2761. And again, since Councilmember Reed isn't here, I would ask for a motion from the Deputy Mayor.
I move we adopt ordinance number 2761, amending SMC 13.12 refuse collection.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by the Deputy Mayor and seconded by Councilmember Newman. Again, I call Administrative Services Director Jeff Steffens. Mr. Steffens.
Mayor, I think I'm going to take this one tonight.
Go ahead, City Administrator Wilson.
Thank you, sir. Over the past several years, there's been an increase in third-party haulers or private companies placing roll-off containers throughout the city to remove refuse. This is a violation of the city's franchise agreement with Murray's Disposal for refuse collection. The franchise grants exclusive rights to Murray's Disposal to collect all solid waste, recyclables, and residential curbside yard waste within the city limits. The agreement requires that the city cooperate with the enforcement of the exclusive rights provision. Our current code is deficient for the enforcement of the provisions outlined in the franchise agreement and needs to be updated to add a definition of third-party hauler, as well as updating what constitutes unlawful collection. To be clear, this ordinance does not prevent a resident or a contractor from using their personal or company-owned truck or container to remove refuse from their property. Further, staff is recommending changing the penalty for violating this code from a misdemeanor to a Class 1 civil infraction, punishable by a fine not to exceed $250 plus statutory assessments. I'm happy to answer questions, as well as District Manager Josh Metcalf from Murray's.
And we'll put you on the spot again, Mr. Metcalf. I'll wait to see if there's any questions. Any council member have any questions or comments? Councilmember Newman.
Yeah, sorry, mine is the same that I always ask because you never know who's watching when. But I just, for those who are just tuning in to the issue, I want to make it clear, and you can answer that the recycling, that this does not include like the bins for recycling near like Sumner Food Bank and whatnot, that those are still available, and that's not the issue that we're talking about.
Correct. That is not the issue we're talking about. Murray's is proud to provide those bins free of service, or excuse me, free of charge to the residents of Sumner.
Thank you, and they appreciate it.
Just better unmute myself here. Thank you, Councilmember Newman. Any other questions or comments by council members? Any questions or comments? Okay, any member of the public that would like to address the council on this issue? As a reminder, if you're coming in via the Zoom link, please raise the hand feature or press *9 on your phone. Okay, seeing none, Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Potato,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hamilton.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance number 2761 is adopted unanimously. Brings us to resolution number 1573, and I would call on Deputy Mayor Hayden for a motion.
I move we adopt resolution number 1573, golf course sale proceeds operations center.
Okay, can I get a second by some member of the council, since Councilmember Reed is not here?
Yes, I'll second that.
Been seconded by Councilmember Hochstetter. I'll call on City Administrator Wilson.
Thank you,
Go ahead,
Mayor.
Jason.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. In 2012, Council passed a resolution directing the mayor to sell the Sumner Meadows Golf Course property. The city entered into a purchase and sale agreement in 2013. Since that time, the city discovered that certain conditions on the property hindered its development without substantial mitigation and required federal permits. In 2018, the city entered into a revised purchase and sale agreement with the same purchaser, which reduced the square footage being sold and the sale price accordingly. The revised sale price is $40,449,380, and the property is anticipated to close as early as 2022. As a reminder, the golf course is a general fund asset, and as such, the sale proceeds will be general fund revenue. The city is currently designing a new operations facility that will house the city's street, parks, and utility employees. The new facility replaces several outdated and undersized facilities, including the Public Works shops, the Parks Office, float storage, police impound and evidence facility, and facility maintenance and operations. The total anticipated cost of the project is expected to exceed $30 million. When design is completed, finance will be developing a financing strategy, which will be presented to council later this year. The plan may require the issuance of revenue or councilmatic bonds. Because the new facility will house utility funded programs and employees, a portion of the cost will be borne by the utility funds. Portions of the project will have to be funded by the general fund for the general fund programs and employees. Both the utilities and general funds have contributed to the property acquisition and design costs. Proceeds from the sale of the golf course are a logical funding source for the operations center. The proceeds from one capital asset, the golf course, would be used for another capital asset, the operations center. State law does not allow our current city council to obligate future council's budget decisions. However, staff feel that it's necessary for our current council to clearly state the intention that a portion of the golf course sale proceeds are to support the construction of the operations center. The proposed resolution states council's intentions to reserve $10 million from the sale of the golf course to be applied to the general fund expenses needed for the operations center. Further, it expressly states that the resolution does not bind future councils and does not constitute an allocation of funds. After the sale of the golf course, the city council would be asked to take formal action allocating sale proceeds to the project or choosing to allocate the funds to other expenses or savings as desired. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hey, any council members have any questions or comments? Councilmember Newman and then Councilmember Hochstetter.
I would like to move to amend section 1 of the resolution 1573 to read as follows. And I don't know if you would like the amendment now or if you wanted to have discussion before we get into amendments. Oh, apparently staff, I guess, is screen share, like is sharing.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you already started with the motion, so why don't you just go ahead and continue with that?
Okay, so I would like to amend it to read as follows. It is the intent of the city council to reserve up to $10 million from the sale of the golf course to be used as a local contribution towards funding of the project, unless in council's discretion, an equal or more critical project requiring a general fund contribution that has fewer immediate funding options is or becomes a higher priority at the time of the that the proceeds are realized.
You can't speak to your motion unless you have a second.
I'll wait for that.
Can I get a second to the motion?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay, it's been seconded by Councilmember Hochstetter. Go ahead, Councilmember Newman.
This is arguably somewhat redundant in that this is just a resolution for intent, but I was concerned that first of all, I'm absolutely supportive of using these funds to go toward the operations center, and I wish other people could tour our centers to know how like badly needed the operations center is. So this is not about support for the operations center or whether we build it or about timing, anything like that. After the pandemic and COVID and so much uncertainty, I just wanted to make it very clear to future councils that we do expect them to assess and analyze any potential needs that they have, that they are not like they are not glued to this. This might be a good loan to just slowly pay off depending on what our needs are. Because I am concerned about what comes out of the state and federal budgets in terms of what other resources are available to us, and we may have to self-fund more of our infrastructure. And so I just wanted to make it clear to future councils that they have the flexibility to take everything into consideration.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Newman. Other questions or comments on the amendment? I'll call first on Councilmember Hochstetter and then Councilmember Botetto. Go ahead, Councilmember Hochstetter.
And I think my question is for Ms. Marquez, and I think I may have asked this before, but I'm still a little bit confused about the term future council. Does that mean that the council has to have changed in some way, or are we just talking about, we're just calling it down the road?
Exactly. So the council that is seated at the time the budget allocation is made.
Okay, great, thank you. And then I do have one more question, and that is, what was the timing on the beginning of the operations center?
Right. Well, first of all, can we save that question till we get back to the overall, the overall resolution? Or is it pertaining to what, because right now we're discussing the amendment that Councilmember Newman has proposed. So if it's germane to that, go ahead.
Well, I sort of feel like it is. I'm looking at the money from the golf course possibly could come in 2022. And I was just wondering, would we be discussing this at that time, or would we be discussing it more at the beginning of design? Or I think we've done design, but the next steps on the operations center. I'm just trying to figure out the timeline on that situation.
Mr. Wilson, do you have an answer to that?
I do, Mayor. So we are preparing to put the Operations Center out to bid later this year, probably early summer. At that point, we're also going to have to come up with a funding plan for this. We anticipate having to borrow the money necessary to start the construction, with the hope of when the golf course sales in 2022, council could then allocate up to $10 million of the golf course sale proceeds to meet your general fund obligation of the new facility and pay off debt early, essentially.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Botetto, followed by Deputy Mayor.
So I'm just kind of curious, how is this amendment different than the original resolution? To me, it sounds pretty much the same, but maybe I'm not reading the details enough.
Go ahead, Councilmember Newman.
No, so Councilmember Botetto, it's a great question. It is redundant, and I freely admit that. It is redundant, and you can easily argue that it's unnecessary. I also know that some of us in government sort of subjectively, like, we all measure intent with different levels of authority, or take different things into consideration in terms of our own due diligence and whatnot. It is redundant. It made me more comfortable to be more explicit about the flexibility that future council will still have, rather than just blindly do it just because I'm concerned about some regional projects not getting the funding that it needs. And I just wanted to make it more permissible to future councils to openly consider their options. But truly, I mean, you could vote no. It's redundant.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Botetto. Deputy Mayor Hayden.
Yeah, actually, Councilmember Botetto asked the question I was going to ask, and really, I didn't receive anything on this until after 3 o'clock this afternoon, and really haven't had time to look at it and talk to anybody about it. So I'm going to have to support the original. That I just want to say that. Thank you.
Okay, any other council members have any questions or comments on the proposed amendment? Okay, I don't see any. Yeah, I guess I was a little confused when I read it because to me it was redundant, as you said, Councilmember Newman, and council, unless it's an ordinance and you're doing it as part of a budget process, you can have resolutions of intent all you want, and it doesn't bind either the present council or any future council. It just states your intent. But anyway, okay, no other comment from members of the council. Right now, let's see, make sure I don't mess up here. City Attorney Marquez, this is also calls for public comment.
You can accept public comment on the amendment. Yes, Mayor.
Okay. Well, I've asked it before out there. We'll see if there's anybody that is either called in via the Zoom link or by phone that would like to address the council on the proposed amendment. Crickets, as former county council chair Richardson would say. So that being the case, right now, what you are doing is you are voting on the proposed amendment. If you vote aye, then you would include the language that was just read to you, and that would be included within resolution number 1573. If
Mr.
you
Mayor.
vote, yes, sir.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we actually had somebody in the public raise their hand a little bit late to provide comment. So that'd be Scott and Mr. Steffens. Would you mind upgrading?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Scott, and sorry about missing your hand, and thank
No,
you,
that's okay.
City Administrator Wilson. Go ahead and address the council on the proposed amendment.
Good evening, everybody. So I was just curious, maybe this wasn't directly straight to the amendment, but the overall portion of the proceeds. Mr. Wilson had mentioned that in the hopes of getting the proceeds from the sale of the golf course, if you don't get the proceeds, how is it expected to pay back the loan?
It's a good question, sir.
City Administrator Wilson.
This, just for council's clarification, we have the borrowing and debt capacity to support the financing of this project. We always like to protect our general fund assets because they are finite and limited. So we try to carry zero debt like we do today on the general fund.
Got it. So this is kind of an added bonus to reduce the debt with, pretty much a 99.9% anticipation of getting the proceeds.
I think you stated it very succinctly, Scott.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you for actually asking the question. Appreciate it. Okay. Just a second here. Okay. Not seeing anyone else that would like to address the council on the amendment. Let's see. Michelle, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and do a roll call on the amendment. I'm not sure I can be able to discern ayes and nays altogether. So go ahead.
Hayden,
That would be no.
Brown,
No.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Newman,
I
Potato,
No.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Well, let's see. This is a resolution and it goes 3-3. The mayor doesn't vote on resolutions and can't break the tie. So unless I'm corrected by the city attorney, the amendment fails.
That is correct, Mayor.
Damn, every once in a while, I actually get this stuff. Okay. That being the case, Then we go back to the resolution, and I would ask council members if they have any questions and comments of Mr. Wilson on resolution number 1573. Okay, that being the case, I will ask if there's any member of the public that would like to address the council on resolution number 1573. And this time I am looking at the participant list. Okay, seeing none, council has any more comments and nobody wishes to address the council, I would ask Michelle to please call the roll.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Newman,
Aye.
Tato,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, council members who now just passed resolution number 1573. So we'll move on to resolution 1572, and I would ask for a motion by the deputy mayor.
I move we adopt resolution 1572, golf course sale proceeds, White River restoration.
Can I get a second by Councilmember Potato?
I second it.
Okay, start that again. Click that mute off. It's been moved by the deputy mayor and seconded by Councilmember Potato. Call on city administrator, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. Similar to the last item, this resolution outlines the council's intent for golf course sale proceeds to be used towards the White River Restoration Project. The city is currently designing its White River Restoration Project, encompassing more than 200 acres of city property and comprised of multiple sub-projects aimed at achieving infrastructure improvements, flood protection, habitat restoration, and water rights mitigation. The project includes 4 sub-projects consisting of the Stewart Road Bridge replacement, point bar, setback levee, and habitat restoration. The total anticipated cost of the projects is expected to exceed $125 million, excluding the value of the city land. The city has been successful in obtaining over $38 million in funding from state, federal grants, as well as partner agencies. The city has also committed over $20 million in utility and impact fees to fund the project. There's still a $61 million funding gap for all 4 projects. Looking specifically at the Habitat project and Stewart Road Bridge, we're facing a $20.9 million funding gap. This is important because to facilitate the sale of the golf course property, we must complete those 2 projects. We continue to apply for grants for this project. Most of the grants require local contributions, and some of the local contributions can be covered through already budgeted utility funds. However, staff must start identifying other local funds to support various grant applications. Proceeds from the sale of the golf course are a logical funding source for the White River Restoration Project. The golf course is in the same geographic region as the manufacturing industrial center that the project protects. Part of the existing golf course will be restored to natural habitat, and the proceeds from one capital asset would be used for another capital asset, which is the restoration projects. State law does not allow our current City Council to obligate future council's budget decisions. However, staff feels it is necessary for our current council to clearly state the intention that a portion of the golf course sale proceeds are to be used to support the city's ongoing grant applications and ultimately help fund the White River projects. The proposed resolution states council's intentions to reserve $20 million from the sale of the golf course to be used for purposes of local matching and/or local funding of the White River Restoration Project. Further, it expressly states that the resolution does not bind future councils and does not constitute a formal allocation of funds. After the sale of the golf course, the city council would be asked to take formal action allocating sale proceeds to the project or other expenses or savings as desired. With that, I'll take questions.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Questions or comments by council members on this resolution? Questions or comments? Councilmember Newman.
Yes, Mr. Wilson, could you please inform us a little bit about the priority for the 20 million, like how that would be used, like to complete what parts of a much larger project?
Sure. As I mentioned, there are four sub-projects, and the two that are the highest priority for us right now are the Stewart Road Bridge replacement, as well as the habitat restoration project. Looking at the looking at the habitat project first, we have about a $9 million shortfall on that project. That's including the PSAR funding that we are seeking from the state that's currently in the governor's budget. That project is important because in order for the golf course to be sold and developed, that project has to happen. The second project is the Stewart Road Bridge. We are, give me a second here. We are roughly $12 million short of funding there. We have asked the state legislature for some assistance there, as well as some of our funding partners, but we will likely need to contribute some local funds on top of the transportation impact fees that we've already paid. That project's important because it completes the Stewart Road corridor. As you know, if you come down from Auburn and Lakeland Hills, you have nice 4 lanes. And on the other side of the river, you have 4 lanes. So this is a bottleneck and a pinch point that is not good for the economy and our trucking traffic, nor is it good for the salmon habitat that's underneath the bridge. It'll be replaced with a much wider bridge with multimodal transportation and more fish habitat underneath, allowing the river to move back and forth.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Good question or good clarification, Councilmember Newman. Other questions and comments by council members? Okay, seeing none, is there any member of the public that would like to address the council on this particular issue? Any member of the public that would like to address the council? Seeing and hearing none, Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Newman,
Aye.
Brown,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Oxtetter.
Yes.
Okay, resolution 1572 on the golf course sale proceeds is unanimously, adopted, passed by the city council. Moving on to reports by the city council. We're going to start out with Councilmember Joshua Hamilton.
I don't really have any reports, but I would like to thank you all for being welcoming and let you know that I've already had several residents reach out to me and give me their input. So it's been fun.
The fun has just begun, Josh. Anyway, again, congratulations. Councilmember Newman.
First and foremost, I'm super excited about our new council member. I have to get used to calling him Councilmember Hamilton, so he can go through the same awkward adjustment period that I did, or I guess that we all did. Anyway, welcome, Josh. I'll say Josh now. I'm so glad that you're here. And I wanted to also just take a second to point out that if people want to go and look at like the Puyallup Herald to read about Mr. Bill Heath's history, so that we can sort of recognize and in some way honor his passing. He was, I mean, as I think most people here know, probably even better than I do, you know, he was once upon a time principal over at Sumner High School, but was sort of like a stalwart in the community and was a quick early adopter of mine. He and Jane would have me over often, and I'm gonna miss his mentorship, his candidness, and his jokes. Like he was Riley. He was a Riley guy. But anyway, I will miss him, and I hope that people take some time to read up on everything that he has done in his very long and highly valued life.
Thank you, Councilmember Newman. Well stated. Sports complex. The guy was a bulldog. I mean, you sitting down with him and you talk to people about the way he approached it. You didn't dare say no. I mean, he got it done. Amazing man. Amazing man. Councilmember Hochstetter.
Thank you. I just want to welcome Mr. Josh Hamilton, and I think he'll find this a very exciting and stretching job. So welcome.
There you go, Councilmember Hamilton. Stretching job. Yeah. Deputy Mayor Hayden.
Not much to report when you stay home all day and don't work, but I will welcome Josh Hamilton to the council. And as far as the community goes, you can run, but you can't hide.
Yeah, I see that. Thank you.
Up, there's another truism right there. Okay, Councilmember Brown.
Yeah. Well, welcome, Mr. Hamilton. Enjoy your time. And when I was a junior at Sumner High School, Mr. Heath was new to the building. And we'd have pep assemblies, and he was an animal. It was awesome. We had a really good football team, and he would lead us in cheer. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. I wish I could have heard him, doing it, but I could certainly visualize it and imagine what it was like, and I'm sure it was awesome. Councilmember Potato.
So welcome, Josh. Glad that you're here, and hope I get to meet you in person soon. And then just a couple things. I noticed over the weekend that there'll be an article coming out about the interchange of Traffic Avenue and 410. And I can say from good authority that it has made a huge difference on the traffic flow, because people can get out of town and they aren't backed up all the way down Thompson. So I think everybody that worked on that project needs to really be complimented, and I think you should give them a prize. So, and then last week I did go to attend the Sumner Main Street Association annual meeting, and it's good to see that they have a good organization, and also all the businesses that are being supported by that association, and then just see that people are hanging in there. So we're glad that they're keeping their businesses going. So anyway, that's all for me tonight. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Potato. Call on City Administrator Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Coming up next week at the study session, staff will be going over the 2020 comprehensive plan amendments. The packet is quite large. If you need anything printed, please reach out to Mr. Windish or myself, and we'll make sure that we can get you some hard copies. But plan on a lengthy discussion and a lot of reading material in your packet this week. The next regular council meeting is on Tuesday, February 16th. We'll be holding a public hearing on the 2020 comp plan update, as well as considering an ordinance amending our downtown parking restrictions. And also an ordinance amending the 21-22 biennial budget regarding parks planning. On the personnel front, staff continues to be busy filling vacancies caused by retirements and normal attrition. Look for openings at the wastewater treatment facility and cemetery in the coming weeks. Utility bill conversion. As you know, we've been working at replacing our ERP system for the last couple of years, and we are in the process of going live with our utility billing software. This new upgrade is a better utility system, more access for the customers and more transparency. Soon you'll receive paper bills that are easier to read and an online system that's easier to use. The conversion has delayed mailing of the February utility bills, but rest assured, they are still coming, and the delay will not cause any kind of late fees for any of our customers. We just thank our customers for their patience as we complete this conversion, and continue and finalize our educational information to guide you through the new software for a smooth transition. I want to spend a moment talking about street racing. Our police department continues to address illegal street racing and reckless driving. Over the past several months, we have seen this activity occur in our city. The past weekend, our department participated in a countywide emphasis to stop this illegal behavior. Our officers will continue to work with our regional partners on addressing this activity throughout the King and Pierce County region. In the coming weeks, staff will be bringing code changes to council to aid in the enforcement of our street racing and reckless driving laws. And lastly, I just want to say that staff continues to work with Pierce County DEM. We are working at setting up another mobile testing site for late February, and we're working with DEM to identify sites in Sumner for vaccination distribution. Thank you, Council.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson. To tag on the street racing issue is that I was on a Zoom call this afternoon with, I guess it was this morning, wasn't it? 11:30, just anyway, lost track of time, with the county executive and most of the mayors, within Pierce County, asking for more of a coordinated, unified approach to this. And this last week one was one example to where resources from a lot of agencies, including, Sumner, went towards helping dealing with the street racing issue, even in other jurisdictions. And so banding together to address the issue in terms of similar ordinances to what we have in place and Puyallup and Fife have in place, but a lot of other jurisdictions don't, will help, along with being able to move resources around to deal with the issue as it comes up. So it was a good meeting. Just a reminder, we're moving into phase 2 of the governor's plan, which means that certain things open up more, including restaurants for 25%, occupancy. So continue to patronize our restaurants. They've been struggling a long time. Do so. And you got to feel safe doing it, but try to help them out. Vaccinations, boy, the one thing that I have dealt with more in the vaccination issue is some of our seniors. And when I mean seniors, that are people that are even older than me, the ones that are like neighbors across the street, they're in their 90s. They didn't have access, to the normal means to get vaccination, the normal web portals. And so they were finally able to do it, but it was only through their own persistence. So if you know of people that are in that position to the degree that you can help them out, I think that would be a wonderful thing. They're sort of the ones that are getting left behind. And then finally, going back to Councilmember Botetto's comments on the 410 interchange, the article is already out on the online version. And so it is a great article, talks about the improvements that were made. Carmen did a great job in terms of getting the information to Ms. Peterson. And you're totally right. There's a whole lot of people that need to be thanked, for it. And that's the unfortunate thing in these times when we can't thank them. But when you go from our partner agencies to you go to the consulting team to go to the contractor, and then especially going to staff to pull off a project like that in the time frame and circumstances in which they did is truly amazing. I know we got an award from the state for the former Bridge Street Bridge, or the Cannery Bridge, but the project for the 410 interchange was just as complex, if not more so. And everybody deserves some accolades for that. So hopefully down the line, we can do some catch up, on thanking, the people that were involved in these projects, because we've done a lot of things over the last year under very, like I said, very trying circumstances, and it's really appreciated. That's it. I'll shut up and not say any more. Seeing there's no more business before the council, this meeting is adjourned at 6:55. Be safe, everyone, and enjoy